And welcome to the Leadership Mental Toughness Forum. Today we have an interesting guest, Jim Murray, former South African champion, boxer, light heavyweight, and world title contender. Some boxing scrubs gave him the nickname Rambo, but I'm sure you'll share us a bit about that background. And fighter with a lot of heart, very dangerous. And in boxing, it's one of the toughest sports, which makes it quite relevant to mental toughness. Welcome, Jim.
Thanks, Claudio.
So it was interesting in an interview with Paul Rothman, Sebastian's brother.
Yeah.
And Sebastian, of course, was a well-known boxer. Paul, not so much into boxing, but he's done MMA and he's done kickboxing. And in an interview, he actually said that he regards boxing as one of the toughest sports out of everything that he's done, even more so than the others. The level of stamina that you need, to keep going toe to toe, without any arrest in some form. Take us through how you actually got into boxing, that journey, and was it something that happened, or did you watch a movie?
No.
You got into it. What inspired you?
Well, I was in the Army Cadet Force in Scotland when I was younger, and we were going to have a boxing tournament, and me and my brother Gary, he was also in the cadets. We decided we were going to join the cadet boxing tournament, so we went round to the local gym to get prepared for it. And we met the local trainer and we had a go at the boxing, and we really, really enjoyed it. So we decided we'd stick to the boxing, but the tournament that actually was planned never actually came off. So it was quite a fortunate coincidence that we did go to the boxing and enjoyed it so much, and we stuck at it.
So the match was actually cancelled?
Yeah, they cancelled the tournament. We stuck to the boxing because we really enjoyed it. It was really good physically and mentally to keep you sharp.
And then your first contest was shortly thereafter?
Yeah. I knocked the boy out in the first round in the Glasgow Palace of Art. I remember that. Standing there in the string vest, shorts, khakis. Rabbit in the headlights, but it went well for me. So that was really the bug bit. You started to fight,
Yeah, and then of course you moved to South Africa as a teenager, and you went on to win the South African Championship.
Yep.
If you can share with us the little highlights in your mind of that fight and what it felt like.
Yeah, I fought the boy up in Newcastle, up in KwaZulu-Natal, which is a very small town. We flew up to a little airport and then we drove from the airport, and it was a terrible drive. We got to the hotel. It was a really hot day, and stayed in the hotel and had a sleeping hotel to relax before the fight. And then we went to the casino that night, sat in the dressing room, got gloved up, bandaged up, gloved up, sitting there waiting, and then really nervous, And then we got to the fight. The fight started. And it was a long, tall, thin oak. Traffic copy was, and first round was a feeling out round, both feeling each other out. I was very tentative, nervous. Second round, I started coming on to myself, getting better, and then the third or fourth round, I can't remember exactly what round it was. He came into me and I threw a peach of a left hook and I knocked him out. Boom! As soon as the thing connected, I knew it was gone. He went down. Boom! And I went back to the corner and my trainer actually jumped into the ring. Emo Bryce, what an idiot! He jumped into the ring. That could have cost him the fight. But anyway, the referee threw him out of the ring, and the oak was struggling to get up, but I could see he was never going to make it. And after the fight, he was actually in hospital. He was in a coma for about 6 hours. But luckily, he recovered. And went back to the dressing room, and that was the early days of cell phones. I had a little cell phone, and the phone started ringing. Everybody phoning up. It was what a feeling. You can't even describe it. It was really good. When you're fighting an ordinary fight and you win by a KO, it's the elation's unbelievable. But that fight was even better because I won the title. After all these years of struggling and trying to get the fight, I got it and won it. So, brilliant.
And of course, what made it even sweeter was the previous occasion you challenged for the SA. I remember that fight. For me, it was a bit of a robbery, blatant, because it was against a very good fighter, Sugarboy Malinga. And I remember you dropped him for what was more than a count of 10. And somehow the ref only counted, I think, to 8. And then later on, he went to win on points where he should have lost on a KO.
Yeah, well, it was destined to fight for a world title after that fight. This is a kind of warm-up fight for him. And when I caught him with that punch, it was a big shock for everybody. And I think we were trying to protect him so he could fight for the world title fight. It's in the history books now. There's nothing I can do about it, And it is what it is.
So it was a sweet comeback.
Yeah. Like I said, it was a long time after that one that I got the title fight. When I won it, I was totally elated.
From experience, sometimes you achieve something and you don't realize what you achieve. You take it for granted. But when you've tasted the other side, you know that nothing's a given, and then you appreciate the victory so much more because you know that the story could have ended otherwise.
Exactly. I could have knocked out, exactly. It was snatched away from me because I was fighting in his hometown and all his crowd and stuff.
Yeah.
Luckily, I won that day. So.
Yeah, so it's Newcastle in South Africa, not Newcastle in England.
Newcastle in the town.
Because I say Newcastle in England is close to Scotland.
Yeah, Jordan.
So I heard an interesting story from your former coach's son, Lakers Campanis, Georgiadis, who mentioned to me that you were sparring with former South African world champion who actually knocked out one of the greatest heavyweights in contemporary times, Vladimir Klitschko, Corey Sanders. You were sparring with Corey and you dropped him with a left hook, and Lakers needed some smelling salts to wake him up. Is there any truth in that?
Yeah, it's true. Corey came down from Johannesburg and we were sparring in Deep River Gym. And they asked me to spar with him because his sponsor was coming in the night and he wanted to give a little show for his sponsor. I had a bit of a headache that night, so I said to Corey, "Take it easy, Corey. I'll spar with you, but I've got a headache, so go easy." Corey said, yeah. So we started sparring, and as soon as the sponsor arrived, Corey started throwing the big bombs. And I said to him between us, I said, "Corey, for goodness sake, relax. I've got a headache." Corey said, yeah. Next round, he started throwing the bombs again, so I got him close, and I hit him with a peach of a left hook in the chin, and he went down, boom. That was a bit unexpected. But I had a good left hook, powerful left hook.
So I'm sure your left hook, your left fist has got some stories to tell.
My left hook is what I've probably knocked out more people with than my right hand even, because I had a good right hand as well. The left hook, people don't expect it, and scored a lot of kills with it.
Yes, definitely. Now, I remember the days of training Rhodes Memorial, the runs. And can you tell us, typically professional fighters get 2 to 3 months to prepare for a fight. And it was not uncommon for you to get a short, fight on short notice, even as little as 10 days. Because you lived a very congruent lifestyle as a professional, where you didn't balloon up in weight 20, 30 kilograms in between fights. You were always lean and mean. So can you tell us what your training regime was when you were not fighting, or when you were fighting? Because I understand you also training even when you were not fighting. So what a typical day would have been for you? Well,
typical day, I was still working those days. I'd go to work in the morning, And then I'd run home from work, which was quite hectic. I'd run with my backpack, with my work boots and work clothes in it. I'd run home. It was about 7 or 8 Ks. I'd run home from the station. Got the train those days. Run home from the station, then I'd go home, have a shower, and I'd get in the car and drive to training. And I'd train at the gym for about 2 hours every night, Monday to Friday. Saturday was my rest day. And then Sunday was Rhodes Memorial. We'd go to Rhodes Memorial and we'd be at the bottom of the Rhodes Memorial and we'd run to the top of Edinburgh Drive and back. Then when we got back, we'd run to the Rhodes Memorial itself. And there's a flat piece of road just before the memorial, and we'd do 1,000 metre sprints on that one. And then after we'd done the 1,000 metre sprints, we'd run up and down the actual stairs 10 times. And then that was it, finished, and we'd run back down to the bottom of the car and drive home. That was a hectic run. And I trained every night, regardless if I had a fight or not. We'd go, we'd do the stretching, bag work, a wee bit of sparring, and all your strength exercises, stomach, pull-ups, stuff like that, you know. So I was always ready to go in shape, you know. What delighted to see a Trappist monk running for cover, you know. Quite hectic.
There's a lot of academic research that has been done in mental toughness, which is, you know, broadly in the category of grit and resilience, hardiness. There's slight nuances in the meaning, but broadly it's, you know, it's similar concept. And not to get into the academic specifics of it, but, you know, from your perspective, what would you see, or how would you describe mental toughness?
Mental toughness is it's hard to describe. It's like if you want to do something, you set your mind on it, and nothing's going to deviate you from that path. It's just you've got your mind set, and that's it. All distractions and setbacks, you don't distract you from that path. You've set your mind on that path, and you'll stick to that path regardless. You know, I saw that one advert for it's an energy drink. And there's an oak running, and then they start this dialogue. You've got this voice inside your mind telling you to stop. I've never ever experienced that in my life. The only voice I've ever heard in my head is one to keep going. Don't stop. You know, that's, I think, believe what mental toughness is. Being able to set your mind to something and knowing you will achieve it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Jim.
Okay.
The last question for you is, any tips you have for the next generation? Is we see a lot of in these days with influencers, social media, that people who are so-called role models, or who these impressionable teenagers look to, may not necessarily be influencing purpose-driven action amongst the next generation. And what tips would you give to people coming up, entering into adulthood, who are looking to find their purpose and find themselves? What tips would you share as a successful sportsman?
What I would say is don't follow the herd. And like you say, these influencers like Justin Bieber and those other idiots do this stuff, and kids think, oh, I must do that because he's done it. Just because that little plonker's done something doesn't mean you've got to follow his lead, you know what I mean? He's an idiot. Because he's famous, he gets away with murder. If you try that stuff, you'll see your arse, you know what I mean? You've got to believe in yourself. Don't follow the crowd, follow yourself, follow your own dreams. And then whatever you want to do, try for it, go for it. Set your sights on it and pursue it. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, Claude.
Thanks for joining us with this podcast, and stay strong and keep on inspiring the next generation, and we will speak again.
Cool, Claudio. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, mate. Bye.